Hello viewers, welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network, and my name is Ronald Wekwamakusha. This afternoon, we need to take a look on Zimbabwe sanctions and their removal. We have seen a lot of narratives being peddled on social media, and a lot of people are giving their own opinions regarding this matter. However, there is one thing we need to actually focus on, that is ZANU PF itself. What does ZANU PF say about the sanctions? What is their belief about sanctions? And to be guided correctly, we need to take a look on Rutendo Matinyarare. Rutendo Matinyarare is one of the people we have been fighting sanctions left, right, and center. And they took the United States of America government to court in South Africa. And I believe that the cases or the case is still before the courts and is still ongoing. So we need to take a look on what he said, which is very important. So he clearly indicated that sanctions are gone, no excuses, let's now build, which means what they were fighting against in court is no longer there, or is no longer applicable, or has been removed. So no matter how the people are going to continue fighting and bickering, the truth has been said. So right here, we need to understand this because it's very critical. It says the real reasons, the real sanctions are now gone. So no more excuses. Let's build the country now. The sanctions on President, VP, First Lady, Minister of Defense, and our amazing business people should be fought through the best legal minds who are ready to fight them. But these sanctions can't stop us buying cancer machines, building roads, refurbished Cisco and NRZ, yet we build so much under waste sanctions. Let's put the right people in the right positions and remove those who serve their own personal interest and build. This is very important, Team Zimbabwe. So I'm going to explain. During the previous sanctions, Cisco Steels was under sanctions. Cisco was the largest steel producer in the SADC region. And removal of sanctions from Cisco, it means they can resuscitate Cisco, they can start to reclaim the regional brilliance in terms of producing steel, which is an advantage to the people of Zimbabwe and to the government, which is in charge. So if you take a look on ZMDC, Zimbabwe Mining Development Corporation, it was also under sanctions. And these sanctions have been removed, which means ZANU PF government can no longer complain about sanctions because they can now sell diamonds, they can now sell gold, they can now sell each and every mineral on the official markets across the world. Hakusina zvokuti diamond rinonzi raenda nekumkoto, chrome yaenda nekumkoto, lithium yaenda nekumkoto, gold raenda nekumkoto. They can now sell these resources on the global markets, and there is no excuse. One of the people I was talking to said to me, when the Al Jazeera documentary came out about the gold mafia, the USA wanted to take action, but they failed to take action because there was some evidence or there was evidence of some sort that there were certain minerals from Zimbabwe which were blocked on international markets, which prompted the Zimbabwean government to go and sell on third-party markets. And that led to a lot of those minerals being looted. These crooks took advantage of such loopholes. And right now, America decided to remove these sanctions and place them directly on individuals, not on Zimbabwe and the key entities within Zimbabwe. So what it means right now is that Zimbabwe can now buy arms for the military, they can now sell gold, they can now sell diamonds, they can now trade on or in any market of their choice across the world. What it means is this is a plus for the people of Zimbabwe, and it then removes all these stories we were hearing about sanctions this, sanctions that, sanctions this, sanctions that. When you see President Mnangagwa's allies, somebody who was promoted for the fight of sanctions, if you take a look on how they're fighting sanctions in South Africa, these people are not alone. They are fighting sanctions with the help of those in authority. And you need to take a look on some posts which are right here, which confirms that indeed these people are actually winning as they perceive. They say it's illegal action, multilateralism and pressure activism beats sanctions. What does the removal of executive order sanctions of Zimbabwe mean? And how do the remaining Zidera and new Magnitsky sanctions affect Zimbabwe? So he was trying to explain right here on how these things work. And these new sanctions, they now affect Vadaravada. They no longer affect Zimbabwe as a nation, which means personally, as a Zimbabwean, I can no longer be flagged from coming from a risky country in terms of movements of funds, in terms of doing business, which is a plus. So some of the things which these people were crying foul of, they've been removed and they are no longer in existence at this moment in time. So these are the same people. These are the people who have been fighting for these sanctions, and they are actually claiming kuti hapasina sanctions. So who are we to say sanctions achiripo? And ivo vaimarwisa mukoti vachitaura kuti hapasina. So today you are speaking about Zim strategy breaking US sanctions, and he said the US government has never been coerced to remove their executive order sanctions on any nation ever before in history, except by Zimbabwe, which means they have fought this war and they won this war. This is what they are claiming right here. He says in 1948, they imposed executive order sanctions on Germany and Japan, and they did not remove them until they defeated Germany and they nuked the Japanese to smithereens. They imposed executive order sanctions on USSR and never removed them until USSR fell and was broken up. They imposed sanctions on Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, never removed them until they invaded them and destroyed them. But Zimbabwe successfully fought US sanctions for 23 years through sentiment war, multilateralism, human rights law, international law, regional pressure, and eventually the US removed their illegal sanctions. It's not me who is saying so. This is the people who are working with Emmerson Mnangagwa to fight these sanctions, and probably they're being funded by this government to fight these sanctions, and they've been doing so in the courts of South Africa, taking several banks to court, the United States government to court in South Africa, and it seems as if they were winning to a certain extent. This is according to him. He says we have won. So for those who are continuing to say sanctions are still there, sanctions this, sanctions that, the truth of the matter is that if ZANU PF admits that there are no longer sanctions, who are you to continue to say sanctions are still there? So it's something, Team Zimbabwe, which we need to take a look. As I always say, in my own understanding, I stand to be corrected. Zidera was standing because of the executive order sanctions. Senate had to draft Zidera because the executive order had been given regarding the issues of sanctions, and Zidera was now coming as a measure of enforcement. If the exit that means, it means the secondary law, which is Zidera, is out and can no longer be enforced. So when you take a look on the conditions that are in Zidera about land, about human rights, about everything else, what it means is when these people say we have won, what it means is the conditions within Zidera are no longer enforceable because the primary law which Zidera relied on or relied upon was removed, which means what is left is for the United States Senate to sit down and repeal Zidera just legally to remove it because it no longer has the fit to stand on. So this is my understanding and this is what I think. And I do not know, guys, how you view everything, how you think about it. But ZANU PF people are saying sanctions are no longer there. So it's time up for those in leadership to start working, because no excuse at this moment in time. Havasina kwekuhwanda, havasina chekutinyepera nacho, havasina chekunongedza. They can no longer continue to point with no sanctions this, sanctions that, sanctions akabviswa, and they're only left a few individuals. Another person I was talking to said it was difficult for USA to simply say, okay, personal sanctions forever and ever. I mean, they wanted to leave some sort of sanctions so as to say, okay, tachinja is easy. I think I achashanda, but they will never work. So this is my thinking. This is what I think. I don't know what you really think, how you view it, but I have tried to explain.